Hello everybody. Today we're going to talk about solving logarithms, and we're going to solve these logarithms by rewriting them in exponential form and going from there. So let's do a quick little review when it comes to writing logarithms in exponential form. So let's write this out in words. So if we had a log of some base of a number, we know that equals an exponent. So if we want to rewrite this into exponential form, we're just going to take our base raised to our exponent equals our number. So we would have our base raised to some exponent, and that's going to equal our number. So let's go through and rewrite this instead of writing it in words that we actually put in variables. So we would have the log of some base b of a number x is going to equal y. So if I want to take this logarithm and write it as an exponential, my base is going to be b raised to my exponent y is going to equal my number x. And this is what we're going to be using in order to solve our equations. So let's look at an example. Let's say we have log of some base of x of 64 equals 2. So ultimately, in order to solve this problem, we need to figure out what our base is. And just by looking at it right now, we might not be able to figure out what that is. They make log tables where you could go through and try and figure this out, but that would be very tedious. So we actually want to use some math to figure this out. So to figure out what our base is off of this logarithm, we're going to rewrite it as exponential. So let's just rewrite up here real quick what our little formula was. So if we had log base b of x equaled y, to make that exponential, it would be our base raised to the y equals x. So let's apply that to our problem. So we want to rewrite this in exponential. So what's our base? Our base is x raised to our exponent, which is the 2, equals 64. So then now we have our equation written exponentially, and then now we can use some algebra in order to solve this. So if I have x squared equals 64, ultimately I'm just going to take the square root of both sides, and I'm going to get x equals 8. Now technically, if I take the square root of 64, I should have a positive or a negative 8. I should have both of those answers. But when it comes to logarithms and our bases of logarithms are always going to be positive numbers. So we know it's just going to be the positive 8. Let's try another example. Spice it up a little bit for you guys. Let's say we have negative 3 equals log base x of 1/8. So on this one again, we have our logarithm and we need to solve it for our base. So the way that it is right now, we're not exactly sure how to solve it. But if we turn it into an exponential, I think we might be able to figure it out, right? So let's try it. So my base, x, is raised to the exponent of 1/3, and that's going to equal 1/8. Let's do a quick little review of when it comes to variables being raised to negative exponents. So if I have any base or any number and it's raised to a negative exponent, this is the same thing as 1 over x to the a. Having that negative on the exponent, it's really just flipping it around, it's making the reciprocal. This is in my numerator, so if I want to make it with a positive exponent, this would come down to my denominator. The opposite would work if this was a negative a and I wanted to bring it up to the numerator, it would become positive. So on our little problem that we have x raised to the negative third. So in order to make that a positive exponent, we can rewrite that as 1 over x to the third equals 1 over 8. So now that I have two fractions that are equal, we know that they're proportionate to each other. On this problem, I look at my numerators and I see that my numerators are both 1. Then my denominators are going to be the exact same number. So I'm ultimately just going to sit there and look at my denominator, and I'm going to look at my x to the third equals 8. So I know that x to the third has to equal 8. So I can take the third root of each side equals the third root of 8, and I know that that is going to be 2, right? 2 to the third, or 2 times 2 times 2 is going to be 8. That's all I have for this video for today. Make sure you guys are going back and reviewing these videos if you need to. Make sure you're taking notes, rewind, rewatch, go at your own pace on these. I'll have another video for you guys here shortly. Have a good day. Bye.